Good evening, everyone. It's 9 o'clock. Let's pretend it's the 17th of December, 2024. Year's almost over, and what a year it's been on the United agenda. Mr. B, today you look like you're off. You're going to be on a deep sea oil rig or something. How you doing?
I'm good, man. Sitting here in my nice cozy with December jumper. I'm absolutely fine. Thank you very much. Bath time?
That's good. And Yabba, are you off solving mysteries in a LA noir film or something?
Is that how I look? Is that with the theme and the background? What are you judging that on? My appearance, my jumper, my background? What do you think?
Not your background. It's more the sort of like the coat and the kind of sort of turtleneck. You
Okay.
look like a really interesting sort of like private investigator. I could see you in a series set in like the South of America or something, investigating stuff, and occasionally it gets into voodoo and things.
PI. That means we should do a pilot episode and see how that goes. I can investigate certain things like on the agenda, for example, things about Rashford, things about Mr. B, investigate Mr. B, follow him around without noticing, swearing and cursing at work, or investigate bath time, find out your true identity.
Not a chance.
Yeah. No chance of that. Yeah.
Guys are soze.
Yeah, exactly.
Great with a crocodile skin hat on.
Yeah. I'll be seen. I can't. This is the thing I always found. I think Mr. B gets this as well. I should never do crime because, like you get inconspicuous guy can just walk around and no one recognizes his face. A bit like I was watching the thing about the Jill Dando killing and they had all these profiles of the person who did it. And it looks like anybody. It could just be anyone. But imagine me. It would, I don't even remember that there was a news reporter who put out a face, and it was actually him. It looked like him. Like the guy's done a murder. There's a print of the guy, and it actually looked like the news report. And he's like, "Hold on a minute, Alex man." But yeah, that's why I don't do crime because I think I would be able to sneak up on you and find you bath time. You'd spot me a mile away and have a little getaway plan. So yeah, wouldn't work for me.
Would I mean? I don't know if people are too familiar with this story, but like Yabba has actually been featured on Crime Watch before. Do you know this, Mr. B?
No.
Yeah, I'll just quickly tell the story. So this would have been probably 95, 96, when Crime Watch was in its peak, and Jill Dando was still on it. I don't mention that. But this Hamwell Sound and Light is on Actual Drone in Hamwell. I went in there because I was buying turntables or something, and we were hiring something for an event, and when we were in there, there's some dreadlock guys in there, big dreadlock guys in there, and we happened to be in the shop as well. And what they did, they'd ordered a lot of stuff and never returned it. So I'm sitting at home with my dad, and then we're watching Crime Watch, and they framed me. Where they put they had the CCTV. They put me down as an accomplice, like I was with them. And my phone was going off. I had one of them old phones back then, my phone was going. Everyone was like, because everyone used to watch these shows, not like now when there's 100 channels. Everyone used to watch it, and suddenly I was like, oh my God, just seen your Crime Watch. Did you do it? Did you do it? I didn't do anything. So I had to call the police, went straight to the police station and said, it wasn't me. It wasn't me, because I was worried someone would be banging on my door immediately, or someone ratted me in, someone, Mr. B. Let's start. I know who that is. But one of them. That's my claim to fame.
I love that story.
I've never heard that story.
Very true. And I was in there the other day. I was in the shop the other day, getting some needles for my turntables. So yeah.
Oh God, it hasn't put you off anyway.
All right, should we see who's here tonight? Actually, we had a special guest lined up, but unfortunately I've just received an email. They're not able to make it tonight, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, as I've got a feeling that everyone is going to be talking about a very boring subject tonight.
It's boring. It depends what you classify as boring. Yesterday...
Well, I was going to make a joke about the Super League.
Oh, you're an idiot. Well, sorry, I cut you off.
Have you seen it's back? Have you not seen this? Like the Super League they're trying to do it again today. We'll get
Really?
to it. We'll get to it. Yeah.
All right. This is all current affairs for me, and I'm
tell you
down
what.
with it. I want to know what's going on.
I thought you was
So come
joking.
on.
No, I'm not joking. A22, the company that first proposed the Super League, is back with your man at Real Madrid, and they've presented it in a new format, but basically the same thing.
Can I suggest something? I think the Champions League have done us wrong because they've created a new format which looks like a Super League. It looks like, rather than these little mini leagues, it looks like a long, when you look at the league table, it looks like a Super League, one big Super League of big clubs, you know, and they're sort of preparing us for it, you know, on the sly. What they call predictive programming.
Like the new format.
Look,
you like it?
Can I say hello to people before we find out what Mr. B likes? We got Dave P, one of my favourite profile pictures, to be honest. That's from The Last of Us, very good video game. Not sure our biggest issue is squad mechanics. The team bus generally makes it to the venue on time, but then again, a few Jason stuff would be interesting.
That's a good one.
Bilal's actually made a good joke, to be honest. Speaking of mechanics, Rashi is trying to engineer a move away from the club.
Wordplay, love it.
Wordplay. Jeff is in the house. Hopefully he's not going to time anyone out, but if he were to, fine with Bilal getting timed out. Dave B, throw a spanner in the works. Good stuff. Stuart Marshall. Adios, Rashford, you spoilt brat. That's awful from a match-going fan to say that about one of our players. It really shows the breakdown, doesn't it? But look, it's Steph. Big up bath time, Mr. B and Yabba and everyone else in chat. I don't know what this is in reference to. It could be Mr. B. It could be Yabba, but he looks like the guy in the milk tray ad.
It must be Yabba. It can't be me.
Okay. It's definitely not Bart. Good evening, Bart. I don't get this joke. In that outfit, Yabba PI in Canada.
Look like a Mountie or someone like wrapped up warm, maybe. Or Grizzly. Who's that? Could him Grizzly Adams?
He wasn't a detective.
He used to investigate things in the forest. Issues in the forest. Yeah, with his brown bear.
I remember
what
the bear.
issues are there in the forest?
Sorry?
What issues are there in the forest?
Go and watch Grizzly Adams. You'll find out. There you go. I'm plugging the show.
Stuart reckons Gyökeres is a done deal with Rashford on his way out. Bath time is a fashion policeman tonight. Thank you. I'd love to be one. We got Simon. Greetings to the three amigos. We got a very special friend of the show, Christine Howley, saying good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Wow, reminds me of my ex. Body like Baywatch, face like Crime Watch. I hope that's not Yabba's face you're talking about. This is a good one. That's why Yabba changes his name all the time. Mystery solved.
Well, that's definitely.
We got Canny in the house. Canny asked to come on this evening, but I said we had another guest, and we'd book him in another time. But if you're around, Canny, I can send you the link, and you can come on. Sports personalities have been announced. Keely Hodgkinson, Luke Littler came second, Joe Root came third.
Can I just say on that? I watched, like last week, I saw the people being announced for the sports personality, and I do think Keely Hodgson is a great shout. You know me, I love track and field. She came third in the last Olympics, second last time out, got a silver in the Worlds, and now she's won the Olympic 800 meters. And she's a fantastic athlete, you know, doing great things. And I don't think a female woman from Britain has won that event for a
female woman.
Yeah.
Yeah, a female woman. Yeah, well, you can never be too sure these days. That's why I have to say her pronouns, a female woman. Well done, Keely Hodgson. Big up.
Simon Warner prefers the old format of the Champions League. Do you remember when it used to have 2 group stages? That was absolutely crazy.
Yeah. That didn't last long, did it? That the 2 group stages.
Must have been 1 or 2 seasons only. It was a real bad mistake. Not sure I like this. Subfix is saying big up the Yabbaites. That should be agendites. This isn't all about Yabba.
Well,
He'd like it to be. Yeah, well.
please, I don't mind. Thank you, Subfix. How about Subfix? How about making a pilot episode for me, Yabba PI, Yabba Investigates? If you can do us a little intro video of me walking through the woods.
Yeah, I would absolutely love to see what you would investigate. I know what it would be, but I'd love everyone else to see it. And look at this.
I'm not going.
We're joined by Canny. Hello, Canny. How are you?
Yes, Cammy.
Hi guys, how you doing? I hope my
What's happening?
sound
What's
is
happening?
good. Is my sound
Yeah,
okay?
you sound good.
Ah, great.
Yeah.
Hi, Mr. B. Yabba. Bath time.
Looks very
How's
cozy
everybody?
where you are, Canny.
It's my I think it's the red light reflecting on there's this little I got from my sister, little wall painting from South Africa she got, so it reflects, it's red. So it's like, I was like, oh, that's a good look. Why not?
Now, I can see the Roxanne jokes going in. Like, the other side. I mean,
we're a simple bunch.
did you happen to see that, Mr. B, at the bottom? I've just seen what Bart looks like. He just appeared backstage, looked at the
Did he?
camera, and then left. Yeah,
He wanted to see if it worked. He wanted to see if it was a real one.
yeah.
It was a
He
real
just
link
starts
for
off having an adventure. We've got John Lowry. Good evening, John. I hope that you're doing well. And here it is. It's my main man. It's the guy that taught Jokeres everything he knows. It's Matty Bassey. And have we got anyone else here? Yes, we have. We've got Vincent Bullock. It's been a great week, hasn't it? Bonuses for you lot. Bath time can stay in the bath for an extra hour. Thanks, Vincent. Mr. B can have extra shaving his head. Yabba can have an extra hour spinning his vinyls.
Can I just say, I got a message from Vincent the other day, and we were talking about the game, and football's talk. And he said to me, I asked, "Oh, did you go to the derby?" He said, "Oh, no, he couldn't go, couldn't get tickets." And I said, "You going to Spurs?" He said, "No, he's not going either." He said it's £76 for a ticket. And this is like, everyone knows Vincent goes to most home games. That's just getting ridiculous. £76.
Dropped.
Sorry.
It's been dropped to 46, I thought.
Oh, right. Oh, maybe he's asking for me to pay or contribute towards it or something.
Yeah,
he's trying to mug me off,
Vincent.
Getting a sympathy vote. But yeah, big up to Vincent. I mean, to travel up every game and all the home games you go to is so expensive, and but the pleasure he gets from it when he gets these close-up selfies with all the big superstars, I just get so jealous.
Yeah. All right. So there's one main thing on the agenda tonight, unless anyone wants a massive presentation about the importance of second balls, which I can't see that anyone would want. Right, Canny, let's start with you. We don't really know your thoughts on like the Rashford Garnacho stuff over the weekend. So would you like to enlighten us?
Yeah, pleasure actually. I think I want to start with Rashford, because the Garnacho part is a bit complicated for me. I think for Rashford, I feel as though our coach's decision to leave him out, I think he pretty much explained that in his interview when he said a lot has been tried with this young man, and it's always nice to try a different approach. That for me speaks a lot of volumes. I give a lot of respect for the coach, because he clearly has gone back from previous managers to actually look at what has been tried and tested on this guy to revive his form, to bring him back to speed, rather than just giving him what we normally expect, like any new coach that comes in with everybody gets a clean slate from me, I'll choose myself. But he's rather gone the opposite, the different route, by saying, no, what you did with previous managers matters, and we carry on that, and that's very important. So that, I think, even shocked Rashford himself. He didn't expect that. He expected usual clean slate favoritism that has been going on throughout his career, but this guy has just said, no, I have seen what you've gone through with these other managers and what has made you fail to get back your form, or the form you had 2 seasons ago, which is your best form ever. So how it would be foolish of me to do the same mistake, or the same this to do exactly what other managers tried and failed, and think it would work for me. So for me, that's just it shows a lot of character in the coach, and he's here to print and say, I'm the manager. I don't, it doesn't matter how much you earn at this club. What you produce on the pitch is what makes you valuable at this club. And that's a huge statement, not just to Rashford, but to the rest of the squad. So for me, I was so excited to see that happen and actually win the game, so that there is no backlash within the United community to go, because that would have been a very dividing take he took. If we lost that game, we would have had a section of the fan base going, that was a mistake. How do you leave your best attacking players? Da 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 da. You know, it would have been all questions. We know ourselves, but it was such a well executed decision that it even paid off very well. That now Rashford has no choice, but they can win without me. They don't need me. And then it literally sends a message to the rest of the entire squad. It doesn't. If he can do that to Rashford, the golden child, the golden goose of United, from the academy, he's on a high wage. He's the highest earner, I think, one of the two maybe. So what about me, who's on 120K, 100K, or not? I can easily be discarded. So I need to be on my A game. And you see from players that have even veterans like Casemiro on the bench looking like they're part of the team, because that's what I know. Football is about morale in the camp. Even for those that are on the bench, there should be that whole togetherness of like, we're all winning together. And for once, I can't kid you not, I felt it that day. I could see the bench is happy. Everyone was just, like, whatever, I'm here to support, and for me, I just loved seeing that. And I think Rashford should use, if I was Rashford going forward, it's sad to hear that he actually said that, but it's good for him to be open as well. And with what has been going on in the media, he's only human, so it doesn't really surprise me when he lashes out or say certain things, like he's ready to leave for a new challenge. And I would respect that, and will obviously honor him and wish him the best if he leaves. But if he doesn't leave, he should use whatever strength or will he has to reignite his form and his stock with using this manager, because he is the manager that can actually help him. No, it's not the other way around. It's Rashford using the manager to, tap in what he still has. There's still a player in Rashford. He just needs to curb out the outside influences that are not making him, sort of like we question his love for football nowadays. Does he even enjoy what he's doing? He looks like a person that's going to a 9-11 that he hates so much, listening to Tracy Chapman a whole day in the supermarket. I had one of them jobs. You just can't wait till it's 5. You keep looking at your watch, and you're playing for Manchester United. You are wearing number 10 for Manchester United, and you have that kind of attitude. It's disheartening. And if he can't use a coach that's almost young enough to vibe with him in these nuances, then I don't think he'll succeed anywhere else. Yeah.
But halftime, can you do me a favor? Like, can you just read out the statement? Because obviously there's a statement being released today from Rashford, and I think it's really like a wow factor. It's got so much wow factor to it, because we discussed it for the last couple of nights, haven't we, on the show? But I'm just really amazed that this has come out, and I just think it would just give everyone an idea of what's going on if you haven't read it already.
Yes, I can certainly do that. The biggest quote that's come out is, so to put it into context, Rashford was giving presents to disadvantaged children at a school or something. And he was there with Henry Winter, formerly of the Times, but now I believe he's freelance. And the quote that came out is, "I think I'm ready for a new challenge and the next steps. If I know that a situation is already bad, I'm not going to make it worse. I've seen how other players have left in the past, and I don't want to be that person. When I leave, I'll make a statement, and it will be from me." When he was asked about being dropped, Yabba, he said, "It's disheartening to be left out of a derby, but it's happened. We won the game, so let's move on. It's disappointing, but I'm also someone, as I've got older, I can deal with setbacks. What am I going to do about it? Sit there and cry about it? Or do my best the next time I'm available? I'm halfway through my career. I don't expect to peak now. I've had 9 years so far in the Premier League, and that's taught me a lot. That's helped me grow as a player and a person. So I don't have any regrets from the last 9 years. I won't have any regrets going forward because I take things day by day. And sometimes bad things happen. Sometimes good things happen. I'll just try and keep a fine balance."
Wow.
Wow, exactly. So there's quite a lot in there. Sorry, go on.
I just want to do some comments before
Absolutely.
we get into it, because this is one that get people going. But first of all, shout out to Matty. He made Gyökeres what he is today, followed his advice. For some reason, Canny, Matty Bassett trained with Gyökeres a few times when he was Coventry, I would suspect. John Lowry, his new boss is a Man City fan. He's not mentioned anything about Sunday. Cracking win against City. How do I go about giving him a bit of friendly banter without getting the sack? Mr. B, you're well known for your friendliness.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be friendly. When the team leaves, it doesn't matter, mate. It makes no difference. And guess what? If he sacks you, it's unfair dismissal. So you go give him as much stick as you like if you're asking for my advice, mate.
Please don't follow that advice. Tickets have been reduced now to help them sell Yabba. Vincent isn't putting a fast one on him. You can take him off your suspect list for Yabba PI. When Rashford was on form 2 seasons ago, it was lethal in front of goal. But now he just doesn't give any life in his performances anymore. Time to go. And then Steph says, ironically, Rashford has scored 3 Premier League goals for Amrin, but there again, Xerxes has 2. I don't see the irony. But I do see Mr. POTUS. Big up to everyone. Nice to see a few new faces on the pod. Big up, Cadney. And Steph, I showed this earlier. It was talking about the reactions of other players when they were left out. They were fantastic.
Yeah.
Here's a man who I reckon is constantly left out. It's Andrew Williams. I hope you're doing well, Andrew. I don't get this one, though. Ask him what colour the moon is.
You must be talking to Yabba.
Oh, no, I've just worked out what it is.
Okay.
It's a blue moon joke about Manchester City to the boss.
Oh,
Okay.
I thought it was talking about one of Yabba's conspiracies.
Yeah, but well, look, we know there isn't a moon, don't we, Yabba? Right. So from those quotes, what are you thinking, Yabba? Have you heard them?
Yeah, I did read it, but not to that extent. There's stuff that you added that I hadn't heard before. But the main thing that came to me is that he's resigned to leaving. I forget the wording, but he said, "When I leave," or along them lines, that he understands he's got to go. Really calm the way he sort of dropped it. Didn't say anything controversial. I think he wants to stay. The most important thing for him, his family live in Manchester. He's from Manchester. He's invested in the club he's a youth, meaning a young person. And I think that it means a lot to him to sort of not leave the way others have left, like Tevez, for example. Well, not to those extent, but he doesn't want to be a bad guy where he's around town and he's not respected. He wants to leave with class, so the fans will always, want to sign an autograph and big him up, and that's natural, I think, for when you consider that he's from Manchester, and that's the best way to go. When you look at other big players that have been brought up in the club that have left the club, it's really important. You know, Man United is probably the biggest club you play for. That you become a legend here, and you don't want to be. I can think of a few players like Liverpool. Paul Ince, for example. He's a legend to me at Man United, but a lot of the fan base don't like him because he left to go into Milan. He thinks he was forced to go there. Didn't want to leave the club, but ended up going to Liverpool, and that's a decision he had to live by because now he's not respected. It breaks my heart when I see Paul Ince coming back managing. I think he was managing Reading a few years ago, came back, and people were booing him. I'm thinking, wait a minute, this guy was a legend for our club. So it is important, I think, for Rashford to remain a ledge, if that's how people perceive him, and not fall out with the fan base because especially when you live around Manchester, you don't want to be sort of going out to get paid from the news agents and getting abuse from kids or whatever. You know, that's not a nice thing to do. So it was a really nice statement that he made, and but the most telling thing for me is that he's resigned to leaving.
Is it like in January?
I don't know. Well, we at least we know it's kick-started. The snowball has started because a statement like that is clear. I think it's a setup, a publicity stunt. I'm going to go in Manchester, you know, feed the disabled children or whatever he's doing, and have a journalist with me who's going to release a story on the same day and take pictures and, you know, all that kind of thing. Look, I'm a good guy and I'm saying good stuff about Man United. Oh, I don't mind. I like to see his face when he was saying I didn't mind being dropped, you know, like that. But he said the right things, and it sounds to me like it's an orchestrated journalistic move to ease the move for the club and for him and make it a lot easier. It's one in wrestling they would call that a job or work.
All right, yeah, but watch this. Mr. B, I think that we can all agree that we have to thank Scott McTominay for this, because McTominay has shown that it's possible to leave the club, go on and do well, and still maintain a relationship with the fans, you know, leave in a nice way. So do you think that McTominay has helped us sort of with this situation?
Okay. I will say no. I'm going to say no. What I will say is Scott left. Didn't kick up a fuss. Really, he just, you know, accepted he was going. Rashford is accepted he was going. Just I don't know, man. I'm kind of glad he's going. Honestly, I think I am. Now that it's all out and out and out. Yeah, I understand he's been playing shit, and I understand he likes to party, but I like Rashford, innit? So I'm not going to sit here and celebrate him going. I understand why he's going. I get it's performance based and attitude based, and his performances and attitude have been shit. So I understand why he's going, but I'm not going to celebrate Rashford leaving the club because I like Rashford, so I can't.
Do you still like him?
Yeah, I do. It's not going to stop me liking him because he's become, you know, a party animal and a shit footballer. I like Marcus Rashford from what he did coming up from the youth ranks, scoring in all of all of the debuts that he had, that, you know, England debut, bloody United league debut, European debut. He came in with a bang, you know, and he's given me a lot of joy throughout the season. So no, I can't hate on Rashford. There's players who have left who I don't give a shit, I'll be honest, but this Rashford one, yeah, it hurts me that he's leaving, how he's leaving. But look, if he says he's not going to cause any aggro, then, you know, I don't expect him to come in and go to Coventry if they bid for him. But make things easy, you know, if Bayern come in or Barca come in, or a team that he might not necessarily want to go to. I'm not saying Saudi, I'm not saying the US, but, you know, if it means that you take the pay cut, then smooth it, make it easy. You're saying, you know, you're not going to go out like this, playing that. Okay, we'll see how easy you leave the club. But look, it is what it is. It is what it is. Everybody moves on. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm only actually half joking about the McTominay thing. I think that might have been a kind of guideline on how you send the sort of academy player off. Like, you know, they get the interview, they say all the right stuff and things. And then, I mean, obviously McTominay wasn't as liked as Rashford was at their peak, but you can see that there's kind of goodwill, I think, from Manchester United fans to see him doing well. And I really, really, really hope that Rashford takes his example of going abroad, because as Yabo was talking about Paul Ince earlier, I think Bilal, I'm not sure how old Bilal is, but I know that, like, whilst we might see Keane and Scholes as the sort of archetype of a Manchester United midfield, I know my father and uncles and things say that, like, that Ince, Robson, Keane were the players that really built the club back, and that it's a crying shame how, like, what happened to Ince. But he also put that on his own back by going to Liverpool. Like, you know, like Michael Owen, I suppose, did the same thing as well by going to United. You don't know what's going on in their personal life and stuff. And the year that Ince moved to Liverpool, like, do you know who Inter signed?
Ronaldo.
Yeah, who's moving, like, to Liverpool to play with Nick Barmby when they can play with, like, the you know, in my opinion, the greatest footballer that I've ever seen. So for me, I still think a really important component of this deal is Rashford doesn't move to a club in England. Like, can he? Would this bother you if he turned up in the black and white stripes of Newcastle?
I'd want him to. First and foremost, I really like Rashford, so I'd want him to really do well and just wherever he goes. But there's two teams I would never forgive him if he went to, which is Arsenal and Liverpool, and slight Man City. But with Newcastle, Newcastle, I have a shot. You know, the thing, Newcastle had this guy called Asprilla back in the day. And I loved Asprilla so much. So I usually have a soft spot for Newcastle. So if you went to Newcastle, I would not really be mad at him. I'll be okay. Go play with Isak, or you be the replacement for Isak if Isak is bought by one of the big clubs, hopefully Manchester United, you know, and I wouldn't be mad at him. But the other clubs, yes, I'd never want to see Rashford in an Arsenal jersey. And then because I think he would do so well there, and I would just hate that, you know, it would kill me.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, is that? I mean, I think people had that fear about Pogba as well, didn't they? That, like, if Pogba moved and he's really started ripping it up somewhere, that we would all look like clowns. And I think that there is a little fear of Rashford doing that. But, like, when people like Simon say Newcastle is a good shout, but how about Villa? I mean, he's not getting in that Villa team with Ollie Watkins and stuff like that. But I can't stomach the idea of Rashford in another English club shirt. It just seems wrong. Mr. B, could you forgive him if he turned up at Chelsea?
We want him gone. He has to do the best for himself. So if we want him gone, we can't moan about where he goes to afterwards. Once we show him the door, if he rocks up at Arsenal instead of Martinelli and it makes them win the league, we can't moan. We didn't, you know, we didn't want him. So he's got to do the best for himself. You know, if he gets a move to Arsenal, fair play to him and his agent. Well done. More fool Arsenal for doing the deal, but at the same time, you know, a change of scenery might do well. So, no.
So, sorry, Kenny. Are you more then concerned about the transfer fee than the destination? Like,
yes.
An Arsenal...
I want money. I want money. I think, me personally, I like Rashford, but I think he's done. So, if he goes to Arsenal, he's going to be done at Arsenal as well. If he goes to Bayern Munich, he's going to be done at Bayern Munich as well. I don't think he has. I don't think it's a love of football thing. I just think, you know, he could be burnt out. He could know he could know he's burnt out. I'm not bothered where he goes. I just want as much money as we can get for him. Wherever he goes
Annie?
after that, I don't care.
Go on, Kenny.
Oh, okay. No. What was my train of thought? I wanted to say, like, Mr. B, you mentioned, like, okay, we want him. The reason we really want him gone is because it still falls back to him. We don't want him gone. The majority of people don't want him gone, but he's forcing the hand on us because he's not performing. You know, he's showing
But it's
us
not
that
just about
he's,
performances. You heard what the manager said. You know, it
yeah.
sounds like
I hate how you
sounds like
dress, how you
right. There you go.
but
So it's
but
not
that's
just
also,
performances.
yeah. If you look at it, Mr. B, we had players like Zlatan that have big characters, Lamborghini driving, Ronaldo's with the hairstyles. Those things can be excused if you perform on the pitch because you can back it up. The main thing starts from the pitch. If you're not performing on the pitch, every little thing that you do will be scrutinized like a needle. It will be super scrutinized. And that's just how it is. As soon as I told one of the guys, I think it was I don't Bolts or something, when we were talking one time, the moment I started seeing Rashford with the long earrings, I was like, oh, we have a problem now. I said it. I was like, no, we have a problem now. This direction without performance on the pitch, it will only get worse. Because once you put your head down and just start training and get back your game, all this, he can go to all the basketball games he wants. If he scored 2 goals, 1 assist, we don't care. You know,
But
we only talk.
We
Sorry?
don't care. We don't care. But I'm going to ask you, as Amarim, if Rashford come in and he scored, you know, say Rashford scored 2 goals every game that he played for Amarim, but Amarim doesn't like. He said the way, not necessarily to say the way he dressed, but he brought up clothes. I
Yes.
think it's probably more his demeanor around the actual club. Do you think he would have been then saying that he wanted him to stay on the goals and performances? Or do you think he wants everybody to be in their bed at 9 o'clock the night before the game, maybe not in a club in Manchester somewhere? Do you know what I mean? Do you think that's what he would have rathered? Because people are talking about performances on the pitch, that's fine. But if your best player is a party animal, then does that mean that you want the rest of the team to follow in his footsteps and become party animals? This is what I'm, you know,
Okay.
Where's the balance?
I think if it's like that, he's performing on the pitch, he's scoring the goals, but he has this, you know, he has this dress code that the manager is not impressed with. He, first and foremost, he will not stay home the day of a derby. He will play. And then the manager will have a way of communicating this to him differently, because the manager would also not want to lose his best player based on, because if he tells him, I don't like this, it can affect him negatively and he would lose that high performing player he has. So he would communicate it differently than how he's doing it now, because now it's topped with the fact that Rashford is not even performing. So he's staying home now on a night like the one we had. He should have been on that pitch, but because of lack of performances, he's home. And the manager has to now take a strong stand by even airing out the things he doesn't even like firmly. Because Rashford, it's like when I was growing up back in Africa, we had this. It's a very bad like example anyway, but like take it out easy is how we grew up. They used to tell us, like, if I teach you once and you don't listen, the next thing I'm gonna get is a belt, because maybe you listen better. And that's how it was. So it's a soft hand first, and if you don't, then I'll go firm. And then for Amorim, he's forced to go firm with Rashford because Rashford is doing everything wrong. He's not performing on the pitch. His aura, his demeanor, plus his dressing are just not representing of a footballer, a professional footballer. I hear he arrived in a robe or something like that. I don't know. These are just alleged
You're not
story.
contradicting your point, Kenny.
Sorry?
You're not contradicting your original point.
Am I? No, I was trying to answer when Mr. B was asking about if per se how it could have been communicated if he was performing better. Because why he's over scrutinized is because he's not performing. So
No,
I
but
feel as though, yeah, I feel as
but
though if he was performing better on the pitch, I think the way Amorim would have communicated that would have been different, rather than actually putting it all out there, because that is topped up with the fact that Rashford himself is not performing very well.
Was it all on Rashford, though? Was it not directed to both Garnacho and Rashford? Did he specifically mention Rashford, or did he talk about the pair of them?
I think it's when he's during the interview, I think he kind of capitulated them as speaking to both of them. But with what's come out and what people are saying, it feels more like the dressing and all that is more a bit on Rashford. Like that kind of falls towards the Rashford side. And that's what I was saying. The Garnacho part, I couldn't respond to that because it seems more complicated. Does it have to do with all what has been going on the internet about these leaks, his brother being involved? Does that have to do with that? Maybe that's what Garnacho got dragged into. Like, why is this coming out? You know, all those things. Because we don't really know what's really happening with Garnacho.
I think you can take a pretty accurate guess.
Yes, exactly. Because he
and
likes
it's not
Garnacho.
About leaking.
Yeah, it's not.
The pair of them had a fight. That's I would think, from my experience, that the two of them have had a punch up on the pitch. Maybe Rashford accused him of this. Maybe Garnacho said something like that. They've got to blows and they've been taken away from the main squad.
Hold on. Where did all of this come from, Bath time?
I just told you, like, that would be my guess. So
Allegedly then. Okay, good. Okay.
Guesswork.
Yeah. Okay.
But I mean, but
So you think if they've had a fight and they would sacrifice, so they've made the choice over the two players?
Yeah.
One or the other? Okay.
No. Look, I think a proper manager, like a really hard-nosed manager, I find it very odd that two academy players who would bring you in the biggest money have been excluded from a game. And I think that, I think we might see them both play, to be honest, against Spurs. But I would think that is about him kind of trying to force his hand to get some money. To me, they're the guys that bring in the, Kobe, Garnacho, Rashford, and possibly Delo are the most sellable, and maybe not the most sellable, but they get you the most money for a rebuild. Two of them have been excluded. I think that sometimes you have to look for motive about why they've been excluded. But I wanted to ask you, Yabba, I think like Zlatan, when he was at Barcelona, Alex Song, there's lots of stories about them like being told they had to drive Fiat Puntos and things to fit in with the squad. That like there's a culture of the squad that's there. Do you think that this is sort of what Amorim is getting at, or have people misinterpreted the quote about how you put your clothes on to mean like that Rashford dresses too flashy, which I think is a bit ridiculous myself?
I think that's a bit far-fetched, but I do think it's to do with the culture, the ethos of what he wants in the club. And I think what's really key for me, watching someone like Ahmad develop and coming through now, you want to keep him level-headed. I think the camera was on him on the bench when he came off, knowing he's just scored a brace, and you could tell he was so excited inside. And the smiles come to his face. He's acting like they're having a conversation, but the camera's right in your face, He wanted to play it cool, but he's buzzing. He's smiling. And you just don't want players like that to go out of control and think they're the kingpin all of a sudden and lose that hunger and all the attributes that got him to score that brace and be the golden boy at the club at the moment, So I think while we're seeing the development of someone like Ahmad come through and blowing up at the moment, we want to keep him level-headed. And by doing that, we can say, look, we don't want you to become like Rashford, who's waltzing around the club and a bit out of control. We want to get rid of him to show you that it doesn't matter to us. It's about the culture, it's about the ethos and working hard. The group of players he worked hard with and were successful with at Sporting, same group of players there, they're not performing as they used to because he brought a spirit, that harmony, that togetherness. And that's something, it's what makes him a special manager. And I think he wants to bring that as well to Man United. And I think that's the reason he's penalised, or he's pointing out the quote about training and standards and thing. We have to eliminate that. No matter how good you are, if you're not performing at that level, professionalism, punctuality, all these professional things, then it doesn't matter what your name is, you're going to be edged out. So Garnacho needs to have a long, hard look at himself in the mirror. So does Rashford, who seems like he could be leaving now. Garnacho, I still think, has got a chance, but Rashford would be the example to say, look, you're out of here. You've been here a long time. Over the years, I've done my homework on you. No clean slate here, as I've mentioned before on the panel, and we're going to make money out of you. Whereas Garnacho, you've got a chance for retribution. You're seeing a young guy like Ahmad, who was behind you, now get ahead of you based on hard work, desire, and discipline, and all the values that Amarin's trying to bring into the club, which is he's been rewarded with his performances, and now he's the golden boy. So I think it's all about values and what Amarin wants in the club. And we've seen it with Pep, for example. He got rid of Zlatan at Barcelona after bringing him in because he realised they weren't going to get along. He got rid of Yaya, he got rid of Etu for, yes, different reasons, but he was still successful. Do you understand what I'm saying? By getting rid of these guys. I'm not going into the reasons why, what Etu said or what Yaya said, but he got rid of these guys who I thought Yaya would be the fantastic player still at there, especially what he did at City. But it was for the base, for the value of Barcelona and being successful, so he could rule without any distractions of a big personality or someone doing something that sort of turns his nose up about how he wants to conduct the way his football's played and how the ethos is of the club. So I think it's all to do with that.
Mr. B, when we talk about Rashford, Garnacho, and compare them to Amad Diallo, do you think that Amad's loans might have made a difference, like going to less salubrious locations like Glasgow and like Sunderland?
I think so. I don't believe Sunderland is, as an area, I've never been to Sunderland, but I would like to assume that man's right. And maybe that's what Ahmad thought. You know, he went to Glasgow, big club, but again, is Scotland nicer than Manchester? You know, maybe it was seeing all of the other shit, him thinking, you know what, if I get this chance again, I'm going to take it. So he's seen, you know, the other side of it, the training grounds, blah, 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 and just thought, if I get the chance in here, I have to 100% take it. Maybe that's the attitude he had.
Yeah, Yaba, Canny, do you think? I mean,
yeah, I feel, to add to what Mr. B said, I just feel, you know, I think Ahmad has always had that skill. Even when you look at some of the time we bought him, when I looked at his clips, because that's when I was obviously introduced to him, I'd never known who he was. And then, we got this kid from Atalanta. So I went to see some of his games from Atalanta. He still had that same pace, taking on players. So even when he went to Glasgow, I still see him as a player that just is very, I think, well-grounded, you see, and that gives him the opportunity to just concentrate and have this tunnel vision. And once you have that in whatever you do in life, I think you are always going to succeed. You know, when you block out these other, you know, interferences from outside. And that's what I've noticed with Ahmad is a very grounded. He kind of gives me more of like, you know, how Kante is very humble and just very focused on. That's what makes him great, and that I think it's also just comes from the upbringing of these players. We should, even when we're purchasing next players going forward, I think it's very important to look into characters and try to see how is this person, you know. That for me is what I think is overlooked. He's his personal attributes as a human being, whereby he's very well-grounded kid, and I think that's taking him a long way as well.
Just to add to that as well, I think you look at players like Beckham and Yap Stam, who we felt were key players for us at the time. Ferguson got rid of them for values reasons. Values for Yap Stam for breaking the code, unspoken rule, you don't talk about Fight Club or Man United, you don't talk about Man United stuff, and for Beckham for not sort of resisting all the celebrity things and wearing a farong and all this kind of thing, you know what I mean, with his girlfriend or Victoria Adams. But, you know, he continued with that, and that was against the values. And I thought that was...
wife. She is actually his wife.
Oh, it was a wife. They were married. Okay. Well, yeah, they were married by that point, weren't they? But not resisting that and not focusing so much on football and becoming more of a celebrity than a footballer. Ferguson didn't like that. He felt that was detrimental towards his club, and he moved him on, and we got Ronaldo in, you know. So I think that's the most important thing. Sometimes we might have our heart broken by players leaving the club. I mean, remember Norman Whiteside and Paul McGrath, Kevin Moran, all these players left the club when Ferguson came along. We were gutted, and we brought in players like Peter Davenport. Do you know what I mean? It's like, and Phil, Mike Phelan and things like that. Some of them worked out, some didn't. But it just shows you what's important. Ferguson showed that, understood that. This Amarin guy, if he's all that we make him out to be, he understands that too. Talk about game model. Gave a great presentation Bathside about the new manager and why we think he's all that, because of these things. It's not just about tactics. Like we said, Ten Hag was a don at tactics, but he didn't have the other attributes, did he? To say he understands about values, he understands about harmony and not breaking these sort of codes within football, to be a good psychologist, you know, and understand how to keep all players on side and players hungry. That Sporting side, fantastic, best side apparently according to Sporting fans they've ever had, and they're not full of superstars. They've got an ex-Coventry striker who's blitzing it, and he's not, you know, they're level-headed and grounded, and I think that's the most important thing at a football club.
All right, would you like to be fact-checked, Yabba?
Most certainly, please.
It's a sarong, not a farong.
Right. What did I say? Farong. What's a farong then?
I don't know, but you were very farong in that statement.
Good one.
That's a good one.
So I should know that, because I've been in Sri Lanka many times. I used to wear sarong.
Well, also, he wasn't married when he wore the sarong. And the only reason I know that is because Gary Neville's best man speech, he put the sarong on.
Okay.
Shout out to, I still think this is the best name we've got in chat, Trevor Fever. I absolutely love it. And there you are at the Munich Tunnel. Lovely to see. Son, do you know what, Dave? Instead of talking, also shout out to Retro 77. It's lovely to see you in your shadow. Sorry. Is this true? He's told the players not to cut their socks. I don't know. Like Mr. B Yabba, I've been noticing this season more and more absolute morons that I play football against are cutting their socks, and I just laugh at them. Have you got anyone on your team who's doing that?
Look, put it this way, I'm the kit man. I do the washing for the kit every week. And if they started doing that, I would have an issue with it, because the socks, I'm actually wearing them right now. They're so flexible, really stretchy. I wear them as my daytime socks and wear them to work because they're really they're stretchy. So there's no need for that.
Your Sunday football socks to work?
I'm wearing them right now. I'm not going to show you, actually. I was about to show you, but I'm wearing it right now. I'm wearing red socks with my jeans and my trainers, red woodland socks. But I think it's ridiculous, people cutting their socks. It's supposed to make it, does it prevent injury, or supposed to make you feel freed up to more movement? I mean, I think it's hilarious. It's just a fashion thing for me.
This with bigger socks, isn't it? They have cut.
Yeah, exactly. More stretchy. Yeah, exactly that.
They've cut the ankles off the socks. But
have they?
Yeah, but
you get blisters.
I made them buy the socks. They come in asking for scissors.
Yeah,
I have no problem with that. I thought they were cutting tags out, and two of them cut the actual. So they've just got the long blue bit. without the. I said, what the fuck are you doing to the socks? Oh, I thought, who thought you was allowed? They're my fucking socks. It's my money, club money that bought, and you've got, so no problem. Give me the money for your half socks now, and you deal with washing the kit. And they gave me the money. I'm not in all of that bullshit. They want half socks. Go and buy fucking half socks. Piss takers.
Go buy half socks.
Oh, I'd love you to be you two as the new Trini and Suzanne would be absolutely fantastic. Rating, yeah, but if you're wearing socks like out and about during the day, like pop one on your head, then you won't be on Crime Watch next time.
Very good.
Especially that they're already cut out, you know.
Yeah,
yeah, like balaclava.
Yeah.
All right. I want, as fun as it is to hear Mr. B shouting about people cutting his socks, I want to just finish on. We're not going to do the Super League unless anyone's up for it. I've actually got about an hour of a presentation on second balls here. I doubt anyone's interested in that. But what I am interested in is when we sort of talk about maybe Ahmad, like that kind of loan is the foundation for what we're seeing now, and we look at like a player like Rashford. How can we learn from what has gone wrong with Rashford, in particular, the breakup between him and the fans, like that relationship? How can we avoid that with Garnacho? Because I think we're going to keep Garnacho for the moment. He's linked with Atletico Madrid, but it would seem a bit foolish to sell an academy player of that potential. So how can we get any lessons from the Marcus Rashford saga and apply them to Alejandro Garnacho? Yaba.
Yeah, most certainly. I think whether we're talking about Rashford or whether we're talking about Sancho, whether we're talking about Greenwood, I think Greenwood's the most important one. I said this before. Oh, yeah. It should be a Greenwood rule with the academy growing up through the ranks, you know, the age groups for young players. They should point to that and say, this is where you don't want to mess up. This is why something should have been done. It was such a disaster with the Greenwood issue. He's such a talented player. I think he would have gone on to do really good things at Man United. We would be in a different position at this point. Remember, Martial, Rashford and Greenwood at the front three, we all got double figures in one season. Just imagine what they would have been doing today if that was to continue like that. But I think all young players from that instant will be coming through the club and be more grounded. There'll be things put in place, risk assessments and safeguard and all this kind of thing put in place to ensure that the young players do not end up like that. And with that it's like becoming a boy to a man, that transition, as you saw if you watched that Nicky Butt and Paul Scholes YouTube videos they were doing. They were talking about how it was for them growing up and how they would, you know, they used to clean boots. This is what the old boys used to do, clean boots. And, you know, it's humiliating, but it gives you values. It keeps you grounded. And they felt that as well. They felt that was key for them becoming professional players and having such a long career and not being, you know, embarrassed or falling by the wayside. Another one is Ravel Morrison. We've got so many examples at the club how people can fall from grace. And I think steps have been made at that level now to stop players, talented players as well, from falling off the cliff and doing something stupid.
Kenny?
Yeah, in terms of on a Garnacho, to avoid, I think to avoid repeating what's been going on, I think we need to have introduce some sort of strict stipulation to family members involving themselves in especially in the media when they're, you know, because that drags the player in, even if it's not the player. I think it's very important that the family members of these young players understand that whatever they engage with in social media, now we live in an era of social media, is going to be also, you know, it will mean it will sound as if they're the spokesperson of the actual player themselves. And if that could be actually communicated well, enough and be able to separate, for the player to be able to communicate with the family members, the immediate family members, that, hey, you are in my camp and we need to see to engage with the social medias and what strategically. You can have your own burner account where it's people don't know you. You communicate with your friends, whatever. But if it's out there, you are my relative, the way you carry yourself, you need to understand that this will come back to me, not you. And it's my career on the line. Because on the Garnacho, I've seen a lot of things that have come out with Garnacho's brother going into arguments with fans and then there. But he's not the one that's getting all the bad energy. It's his brother. And if his brother has a small little a bad day in a bad day at the office, that is all dragged into him having a bad performance. Every player cannot play 100% every game. Maybe that day was one of the days you just had an off day, but you find yourself in all this instant internet nonsense because of a family member that's posting and doing. We've seen this even with the more older players like Maguire, I think, had a family member that was going back and forth. Rashford has a family member that keeps going back and forth. I think for me, it's very difficult nowadays to gag people from having this freedom of expression and having, because they are now like they're these. They are mainly corporations. They're no longer human beings because they have the team. They carry this whole stock to them. So we understand that. But then if you are if you're a member of this prestigious club, Manchester United, you need to understand that your family members need to follow by these guidelines as well. They don't need to gauge. We don't need that extra added negative attention to our club, because already the media sells more when they're having bad headlines about Manchester United, which makes it even more difficult for any coach to do their jobs. I've seen some of these coaches that have gone and come through. The media had a lot of input in them failing to communicate, to let them actually just coach players and be able to communicate with the players. So I feel a stiff and very stiff rule about family members' engagement in public should be introduced to this club.
Kenny, do you know who Gary Lineker is?
Yes.
Do you know who Wayne Lineker is?
I'd assume he's the brother.
Yes. Gary Lineker's brother is cut from a very, very different cloth. And I mean, Mr. B, what would it be like with Wayne Lineker in today's day and age, considering what he gets up to?
Yeah, there'd be a lot of trouble. I don't think you can control family members.
I agree.
You just have to hope that they respect the position that you're in. You know, you've got priests who have got convict brothers and sisters. You know, is that down to, you know, the priest himself? No, it's down to the brothers and sisters. So I would be very wary of trying to put a rule like that in. I think the club need to see the signs earlier, maybe. And if they go down a certain path, if they go a certain way down the path, then bin them off. If it works out that, you know, they got it wrong in what they did, fine. But I think there has to be a limit to what they will accept or won't accept. Whether Garnacho has passed that limit, I have no idea. Whether he's going to pass the limit, I have no idea. But it's more on, they're all on social media. Look, let's not get it twisted. You know, this is we do. I do Facebook and I do Twitter, but I don't even do Twitter really. And Facebook, I just scan every now and then. But you know, my daughter, my son, Snapchat, and all of the other ones, you can't. These are things that you can't control. You know, so you can say to Garnacho, tell your brother not to blah blah. If his brother wants to do it, he's gonna go and do it, regardless. And as Tammy was saying, you know, set up a burner account and do it. There's ways of things being done. So I don't think you can control especially the social media part of it on a family member. You know, you've got police officers who aren't allowed to have accounts. You've
Solo.
got, well, not even so much solo, just people on a whole. I know two people in my football team who one's daughter and one's niece are, what's the ones who work in the jail officers, wardens, one male, one female, and they're not allowed to have social media. But what they've done,
We know why after that video.
Yeah, this they're still on social media, but they're under another name. They don't hide their face. They just call something else. So I just don't think it's something that you can stop. I don't think it's something that you can stop. And if that's the way they're going to be going in the social media side, then I think they'll probably lose a lot more players to it than not. I mean, look, Garnacho's high profile. That's why. But I think he thinks he's maybe, you know, further down the line in being a top footballer than, you know, we think he is. So I mean, maybe, and the fact that, you know, is he over here on his own? It's just him and his missus, right?
No, his whole family's here, but they moved over during COVID, and they didn't get to meet anyone, as it were. Which is, always remember that COVID for sort of teenagers is something that is incredible, having two years taken off your life, essentially, your social life. But for me, I think that we've seen this before. Do you remember Thiago Silva's wife, Yabba?
No.
She was a chatty Cathy on social media. If he didn't play, she'd complain about it, and all these things. And for me, with the Garnacho situation, I don't know if I want to set a precedent, but I would consider giving him a job at Manchester United. Just doing whatever, but meaning that you sort of bring him under the banner of your control, so that he can't do these things. And I think that we've got to find some way of, I don't know, like a program or a course or something, to get like these family members that are not employed by the club, to get them to understand that they're hurting the club and their family member or their partner or whatever when they do these things. Because I kind of agree with Mr. B. You can't, like, you've got no right to tell these people to shut up. Like, you don't have a contract with them. Like, it's more about the respect that they should have for their family member. And the issue is that when that respect goes, or they feel that it's gone between the player and the club, they're all going to come out and say this and that and whatever. And I just want to shout out Harry Maguire's mum, who came out and made a public statement saying, like, leave my son alone. And all you lot said that was ridiculous. Do you know who ended the the Jay-Z and Nas beef? It was Jay-Z's mum. She made a public statement on the radio saying that it had to stop because people were going to die. And so it did stop. So maybe we need, like, Garnacho's mother to come out and sort this out. Imagine her battering Faz about with a handbag.
That'd be hilarious. No, I totally understand, but I feel it's actually, I disagree with you two by saying that it's a hard thing to achieve. I think this can be added into any player's contract. You know, it can be added to a player's contract where if any of your immediate family members has anything that comes back to the club, you are the one that gets the fine. So that there's
under EU law, that's illegal. You are proposing, like, essentially a totalitarian
but the contract itself, the footballing contract itself, does not really fall under EU. It falls under the trustee and the trusteer, if I'm right. You know,
well,
because we have clauses. We have clauses in certain contracts that we shouldn't even mention about Neymar's father, you know, getting help for some things, the unprintables that we can't even mention on the show, added to the contract. So I don't see, if the club wants to protect itself from things that are like bad press and things that can disrupt unity in the dressing room of those nature, then any immediate, because if you're moving, obviously you have health insurances and all that. These people are on Manchester United's health papers. We know who's your immediate family. You know, I'm moving from South America, or I'm moving from Africa. Say it's me with my son and my girlfriend and my mother and father. So if any of those are anywhere close to social media and then posting something that will come back to me, I should be held accountable for that, because they should know for a fact I'm employed by you, and how they carry themselves is a representation of me. And I feel the club can have a clause like that they can be added in the contract that will police certain behaviors. It doesn't have to be marshaled in a way where it's very harsh, but it has to be something that is a constant reminder to these players that if my family member behaves in such a way, I'm losing out. So we're the one losing out as a whole. And that will help curb out certain behaviors that we see online nowadays. If you look back in the day, Feggy used to follow these guys to nightclubs, apparently, right?
But he didn't have a legal contract saying that Posh Spice had to leave the Spice Girls. Like, what are you talking about? Like, this is absolute nonsense, Canny. You cannot be found criminally liable for your you can't be found to be fined for your dependents at a football club. I mean, I just imagine presenting a contract to someone saying, if your third cousin tweets out that, like, Martinez is shit or something, that you're going to get a fine. Like, you're living in cuckoo land, man, if you think that this is a workable solution.
I mean, if you look at it, if you just look at it practically, I don't see why there shouldn't be a clause where if it comes back to the club in any negative form towards the club, they can find the person that's direct. You know, if the member, the
where
family
does it stop then? Are we going to get like Ruben Amrin getting like prima nocte put in the contracts of players?
I'm sure he doesn't handle the contractual work, so we're talking about Wilcox or something. But it's a doable thing. If players can come up with
a doable thing, it's borderline illegal.
Hold on, can I jump in on this quickly?
Yeah.
Like, I see where Cammy's going at. It's like with data protection. If I brought back a team sheet from my work and I put it in my bin and someone went through my bins and found it, you know, that I would be liable for my employer to say, well, that's data protection. You shouldn't be carrying that information outside of work, or that should be kept in files, which is secret to anyone else. No one else should be able to see these things, sort of personal information or personal stuff related to the club. Things like leaking team sheets, that's detrimental to the club because we're a results business. Yeah. And if Ganacho's little brother is being a little scoundrel or scallywag because he's in Manchester now and doing things like that, that suggests to me that it needs to be curbed somehow by the club because it's detrimental to the club. So they should say to Ganacho, this is data protection, do not reveal anything like that. And if it does occur, then we could fine you or something like that along them lines. Say this is data protection. We're telling you this is not to be revealed anywhere else. It's secret because other teams could get information which could help them to defeat us, and it's not helping us with profit. The others in some way, as profit with points or points make prizes, as Bruce Forsyth would say, and that could stop us getting Champions League money in football. So it just leads on to that. I think there must be some way, as Cammy was saying, around data protection, that sort of thing.
Yeah, but that's specific.
Not to reveal certain information.
Yeah. No, you can definitely fine a player for that because you need a guilty action and like a guilty mind essentially to be like found guilty. Like there needs to be a motive and an act, like just
and a victim.
Yeah, let's kind of like paraphrase it as that. So the guilty act is Garnacho leaking sensitive information. That's something that he has done, and he must pay the price for it. But like, if, as Jermaine Sweet says, what if you're not getting along with your brother and they slander the club without your knowledge? Under Canny's like incredible system, you are like liable for that as well. And it just
You disown them.
You disown them. What,
you write to the club like, this sibling is out of my control.
Yeah. Like, look, we're going to go around in circles. I mean, it's a fascinating legal precedent that Canny is trying to set tonight. I'm stunned, but I think
I might be wrong. I'm just frustrated with it. I'm sorry. You know,
I know you are. You've basically proposed like communists, like USSR, to deal with one Argentine teenager, which seems a bit over the top.
Yeah, but you know that comes from his African rule by stick. You know, to tell you one, otherwise you get out of the belt. You know, it's the rod of correction. I mean, so I'm down with Cammy, man. I'm sure Mr. P is as well. This is the rule we grew up on, and you had fear of your parents because of that. So yeah.
All right, I think it's like a notch time, lads, isn't it? We're back tomorrow with a match preview for Spurs versus us, which will be interesting. I think we've probably got a watch along on Thursday.
We'll do our best, yeah, we will do our best to get a watch along down on Thursday.
And then there'll be a reaction show. I'm a big fan of waterboarding. That was a punishment in my house, Danny.
Big fan.
Yeah, like, I've waterboarded a lot of people in my life. If they left my kitchen messy, they got waterboarded. I had to do it. It was pretty bad, to be honest. Anyway, we've got 26 likes, but it is a lack a notch from me.
Lack a notch from me.
Lack a notch.
Like a notch.
Oh yeah, I've got to do the outro. Good night, everyone.